you would find it difficult. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll start after a long break. And it says, Assalamu alaikum to everyone. So, Surah-Al-Baqarah, we started, just a recap from, I think nearly 2 years that we started this word-to-word understanding. And the idea behind that was, as I was saying, to connect to Quran, one has to have a portion of recitation every day. And for non-Hafiz, a juz a day, ideally, that's a target to achieve slowly and slowly. And for Hafiz, 3 juz a day. That's the connection with Quran. And you then build up through understanding and meaning. And meaning could be understood through, well, primarily 3 ways, but the true sense is the best one or the top one, which is learning Arabic grammar, mastering it to a degree. So you can then, break down each word and you can have the connection with what it exactly means and what are the root letters. And then it would be the best effect. But obviously not everyone can do that. It's difficult to learn languages anyway, let alone Quran, because the Arabic, which is much more difficult than many other languages. It is detailed and there's so many words. It is very rich language. Obviously, it has to be. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose this language for Quran, the best, the Al-Sina, the mother of all the languages. And in the modern time, it's even difficult because our mind doesn't sync with things very easily. We have to have virtual, imagination, or at least we could see something algorithmic here and there, the flow diagram. Things do not settle. And even then we forget. It has to be like ingrained several times. And in busy schedule, it's almost very, very difficult, not impossible, if not impossible. So the other way is to know just the word meaning of Quran, memorizing those. Now, I do not expect people to have time to memorize it. So what is the idea? Idea is to just, the words would come in Quran so many times, the same word, in different forms, sometimes the same form, sometimes even the same ayat repeated, exactly the same. So if you just focus on those words, however many times, you just write down. So you have your own Quran. It's called Bayadi Quran, the Quran with the white lines in between, space on the side and underneath. You just write the meaning of that word underneath. So for example, you started off from Surah-Al-Baqarah, first few pages, every word has a meaning that you have to write down. Maybe 2 or 3 words are, left because Allah, for example. Those sort of words you might not, you obviously wouldn't need to translate, but most of the words you would need to. So your first few pages are full of translation that you've written with your own hand. As you move on, you get less and less and less. So every time you do not know the meaning of that word, you write the meaning, the name. Oh, I've done that yesterday. Doesn't matter. I've done that a week ago. Doesn't matter. Because you're not going to open that again. You will only open this when you plan to teach someone in future. Or if you happen to give a talk of some sort, or just revising at some point, when you're free, inshallah ta'ala. So the idea is to just keep writing it and keep practicing it till it gets ingrained. The word would just settle down. As we develop our vocabulary, a new vocabulary, how do you open up dictionary and memorize it? You just hear it. Some people have used it once, twice, 3 times. Everyone started talking about that. It becomes your own vocabulary word. No one opened dictionary for any new term. It just, how did we know what is this thing called chat GPT? Now everyone can say chat GPT without any, if you've used it a few times, I'm new to it, but people can say without thinking. When you try to confuse this with, what was the other thing from China? The counterfeit. Yeah, so with our deep sea, okay. Yeah, so, slowly and slowly, deep seek, okay, whatever. So then slowly and slowly you build up to that. Likewise in Quran, I hope that, because about 70-80% of the words are repeated so often, inshallah, if you know that much, why not? And I'm not only saying it, I've seen people doing it. My mother, may Allah preserve her, she's about 80. She memorized word-to-word translation in her early days. When I was about 13 or 14, she made me, while I was doing hifz, she would make me sit down and memorize with 5 juz. First 5 juz, I memorized word-to-word translation with her. And she has several students over the last 30-35 years that I've seen. People would come, even now, she's got 4 or 5 sisters would come, like elderly young, whoever they come to the house, and then she would just be telling them word meaning, and they just note it down and keep going it. I saw her Quran, is like this, and if you've taught it, say, more than 100 times, you don't need to even memorize anything. You know, it just makes sense to you. You can understand how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explain and say things. So one can do that. Everyone can do it. So that is the idea behind this word-to-word translation. Okay, so let's inshallah start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
ألم تر إلى الملأ
ألم تر إلى الملأ
من بني إسرائيل
من بني إسرائيل
من بعد موسى
من بعد موسى
ألم تر إلى الملأ من بني إسرائيل من بعد موسى
ألم تر إلى الملأ من بني إسرائيل من بعد موسى.
Is an auxiliary verb that is used to ask question. Is, am, are, was, were, did, that, the be word. So lam means no, not. Okay, so lam, did not. And alam makes the next verb into past form. That is why did. So did not. Alam would always be translated as did not. Ayat number 243. 246, sorry. 243 says here. It might be that, yes. Okay, that bit we have covered. I think we've covered Alam tara ila alladhina kharaju min diyarihim wa hum ulufun hadar al-maut. That's a similar one, but coming a little bit later.
We're just beginning the last group of the second part.
You sure? But do from here, inshallah. Now that we've started it. He's the only punctual guy, so he would know better. So did not. So then you're going to translate all of it now. Let's see what you've done. Tara. Tara means what? Tara, see. Ra'a yara, tara, yusu. Did you not see? Allah says. Did you not see? Ila. Ila means tara ila, towards, to. Al-mala'i. Mala'i, the assembly. Mala'il a'la. You heard the word Mala'il a'la? The assembly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels. Any assembly is called Mala. Did you not see the assembly from Min Bani Israel, from the Bani Israel? What is the structure? What is the breakdown of Bani Israel? What is Bani? Bani Gala?
Children.
Bani Israel. Bani. Bani is actually a plural of Ibn. Ibn. It was actually Banin or Banoon. Both ways fine. It's just a declension. So Banoon and Banin is the plural of Ibn, which means children. Ibn is son, all the children, Banin or Banoon. So when you make a possessive case of thing, so of someone, then you have to drop that noon. So you say Banu Israel or Bani Israel. Okay, why this is Bani? Because of Min. But that's for those who know Arabic, Khalisa, for example. So Min Bani Israel. Isra, what is Israel breakdown? Isra and Il. So that's Hebrew for Abdullah. Isra is slave. Il, Allah. Abdullah, children of Abdullah. Allah's slaves, sons. Okay. So did you not see the assembly of the children of Bani Israel min ba'di Musa, after Musa alayhi salam? So talking about the Israelites, how they behaved after Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam passed away. Now Isa alayhi salam help these people and get them to come out of the clutches of Pharaoh, and they were delivered on the other side from this sea. So, and they then had a lot of miracles seen by Allah, through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through Musa alayhi salam in the open. And yet they would have question. They would still have distrust. They would show that, keep asking for more. Keep asking for certain, miracles. Can we see? We would not believe, O Musa, until we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with our own eyes. How do we know this is right? Why are you asking this? Are you mocking us? Type, that was their attitude. The general attitude was that of disrespect. Deep down, they had this sense of, superiority, even to the Prophet that they were supposed to believe, and the Prophet who helped them come out of the slavery from Fir'aun. And yet the attitude doesn't change. If people do not submit to the truth, this is what happened. You continue to be on the wrong path. And so they kept asking, that once they've done enough, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished them and didn't let them come out of this bewilderment of Tia, the valley that they got stuck in. And it took so long, and they were there for a long, long time, roughly 40 years. In that time, everyone from the people of, the Israelites who were enslaved by Fir'aun for centuries, almost everyone died. Everyone passed away, including Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam. They passed away. So in this valley, there are only these people. They would try to go out, but they would, by the evening, they're back to where they started. They were not able to come out of that, although the direction was very straight towards Palestine. From Egypt to Palestine, it's not far, but it's not straightforward. And they knew it. But since the attitude wasn't that of submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with sincerity, Allah made them keep walking, keep going from one place to another place, yet they would always find themselves where they started. Means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't deserve to be in the blessed place. And they carried on like this, and the generation that was enslaved, but completely, they're gone. They died. Natural death. The children who were born there in those 40 years, they grew up. These are the children who are not slaved by anyone. They're free. And they have done a lot of hard work there. Natural tendency to learn and improve. They become much better. But anyway, they then followed some of the prophets. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said many, many years afterwards. So there were Yusha bin Nun became alayhi salam, became the prophet. Then, Talib bin Yuhanna, he became the prophet. There was Shamu'un, there was Shamu'il, Samuel, and there were Hizqil alayhi salam. So all of those prophets came one after the other, and they just continued to give the same message. And yet the people wouldn't budge. And sometimes they would accept, sometimes they would just go against it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is then saying, look at that, what happened to the children of Israel alayhi salam after Musa alayhi salam's time. إذ قالوا لنبي لهم ابعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله إذ قالوا لنبي لهم ابعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله
إذ قالوا لنبي لهم ابعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله.
If, when قالوا, they said, when they said لنبي, to the prophet. Now, which prophet is that? According to some, it was Shamu'un alayhi salam, but there's no hadithic reference to that. It could be, and some biblical, chronicles would suggest something similar, but it is irrelevant. That's not important. Which prophet was that? Any prophet. So one after the other, the prophets are keep giving them advice, and they would listen to some, and they would leave some behind. And in doing so, they were overpowered by the local neighboring kings. They would come, conquer them, enslave them, brutalize them, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would help them when they repent, and they would just go back and then be enslaved by a few years later, someone else. Because they continue to go in and out of this true submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why it is extremely important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put all that story of Bani Israel in Quran right at the beginning, to give the clear understanding to Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you are going to follow the same footsteps. So don't beguile by that. Don't beguile by the nafs or the shaitan. Don't deceive yourself. Let the enemy not destroy you, devil, shaitan, or iblis, your arch enemy. Take him as your enemy. You can only do that through reflection on what happened to them. And I'm not going to do that. That should be the attitude. Otherwise, what's the point of all that story? Yeah. So what did they say? They said, for them, whatever Nabi was sent to them, they said, Ib'ath lana, send for us, Malikan, a king, nuqatil, we will fight, fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah. Meaning, these kings from the surrounding, they keep coming and going and killing us, enslaving us, looting, or doing whatever. So we need to have a central figure who would be a king. And we want that king to lead us, and we would march and we will fight. But the habit has been different. The experience has been different generally. So the Prophet said, this is Shama'un alayhi salam or any other Prophet, he said, قَالَ هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ
قال هل عسيتم
إن كتب عليكم القتال
إن كتب عليكم القتال
ألا تقاتلوا
ألا تقاتلوا
قال, he said, meaning the Prophet said, the one they asked for, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, appoint someone as our king. So that Prophet said, قال, he said, هل عسيتم, would it be possible? Is it perhaps, maybe, in kutiba, if written for you, alaykum, on you, if something is written for you, meaning this qital, al-qital is the fighting. If the fighting is written for you in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that la tuqatilu, that you would not fight, when Allah make it obligatory for you, and then you wouldn't fight. Is it a possibility? Meaning you're asking for Allah, for me to send or appoint someone as your leader, under which command you would, under whose command you would just go and fight. So is it a possibility that you would refrain from fighting when it is made obligatory upon you? So let's see what they say. So they will say, قالوا وما لنا
قالوا وما لنا
ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله
ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله
وقد أخرجنا
وقد أخرجنا
من ديارنا وأبنائنا.
من ديارنا وأبنائنا.
All they said, they responded by saying what? وَمَا لَنَا, what happened to us? Why would we? This is common phrase in Arabic, وَمَا لَنَا, malak, what happened to you? Why? So malak, what happened to you? وَمَا لَنَا, what happened to us? And why would we do that? Meaning, why you're saying that would happen when this is what happened to us already? So we are not going to do it. Meaning we would fight. Boasting, saying that we will. وَمَا لَنَا, what happened to us? أَلَّا نُقَاتِلَ, that we will not fight in the path of Allah fi sabilillah. وَقَدْ, wow, this is haliya, while the state is this, قَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا, that we have been kicked out, we have been driven out, مِنْ دِيَارِنَا, from our houses, from our homes, وَأَبْنَائِنَا, and our children, means we have been driven out of our places. Why we would not fight them? They're just, other people are coming and chasing us out of the city or our dwellings, we must do. So meaning your question, now the billah, doesn't make sense. That's impossible. Why would we not do that? So obviously, prophets are very wise people. They knew it. The history is quite clear to them. فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالُ
ولما كتب عليهم القتال
تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْهُمْ
تولوا إلا قليلا منهم.
فَلَمَّا, so when كُتِبَ, written for them, عليهم, on them, القتال, the fight, the jihad, practical jihad, تَوَلَّوْا, they turn away. Oh, it's too difficult. We thought it was fine. No, I'm not interested. It's too much. Can't take that. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْهُمْ, except a few from them. Few continued, majority just refrained. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ.
والله عليم بالظالمين.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alim, is knower of zalim. Allah knows all the zalim. This is oppression. This is transgression. You're a wrongdoer because you ask for something and then when you get it, you don't do it. وَقَالَ لَهُمْ نَبِيُّهُمْ,
وقال لهم نبيهم
إن الله قد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا.
إن الله قد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا.
وقال, and said, لهم, to them, نبيهم, their prophet said to them, إن الله, indeed Allah has, قد بعث, definitely he's just, بعث, send, لكم, for you, to you, طالوت, ملكا, as a king. So Talut is now being appointed as a, you were asking for a king, there you go, that's your king. Follow him. قالوا أنا يكون له الملك علينا.
أَنَّى يَكُونُ لَهُ الْمُلْكُ عَلَيْنَا.
قالوا, they said, and how come? What is this? How come that يكون, that he becomes, يكون له, for him becomes the mulk? How come then he's been given this kingdom? علينا, over us. He'll be king over us. He would get this kingdom over us. How could that be? Meaning, why they're suggesting, وَنَحْنُ أَحَقُّ بِالْمُلْكِ مِنْهُ
وَنَحْنُ أَحَقُّ بِالْمُلْكِ مِنْهُ
وَلَمْ يُؤْتَ سَعَةً مِنَ الْمَالِ.
وَلَمْ يُؤْتَ سَعَةً مِنَ الْمَالِ.
وَنَحْنُ, while, نحن, we are, أَحَقُّ, we are more rightful. We have more right. We have got more right. بِالْمُلْك, of the kingdom. This kingdom, we belong to this kingdom. We deserve it more. We have more right over this kingdom. Walam yut, and he is not, walam yuta, he is not being given sa'atan, any excess of mal. He is not rich. We are rich people. He's only poor. How come that he is being given the kingdom? We deserve it because we are the rich people. We are the leaders. We should be honored with this kingdom. Silly thing. That's a problem. People equate wealth to power of any sort. And this is what corrupts them. There's no such thing. You'd be hard pushed to find, in fact, not just minorities, only a rarity that the best of the people are the richest people at any time in the history. The example of Sulaiman alayhi salam and Dawood alayhi salam, Yusuf alayhi salam, out of all the prophets, 3. You would not find any, maybe 4th out of 124,000. Or at least 26 that we know of, 25 mentioned in Quran. None of them were rich people. 3. And likewise, from the Sahaba, you may find 2 or 3. Abu Bakr was okay, above average. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, Uthman, few others, and that's it. The majority has never been. So it's not even minority, it's just a rarity. It's so uncommon. Because the wealth, the power, it corrupts. The more corruption there would be. Hence, this notion is completely silly. قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم
قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم
وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم.
وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it very clear. What is the criteria? What would make someone a leader? قال, Allah, the Prophet said, he said, the Prophet, Inna Allah, indeed Allah subhanahu istafahu, Allah has chosen him. Istafa, to choose someone. That is why Mustafa, the chosen one. The one has been chosen, selected. So Allah has istafahu, him, alaykum, over you, above you. Wazadahu, and Allah increased him. Bastatan, abundantly, a lot. He increased you above you a lot, by miles. In what? Fil ilm, that's the first thing. Ilm, knowledge is the thing that would, trump everything. Knowledge would dictate. Ilm is the reason for someone to be leader, head. Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq was not physically very stable. He was very strong, but not the most strong. I shouldn't say stable, means that he wasn't the strongest person. But his knowledge was par excellence, top level. With obviously his wisdom and with piety, with everything else. But that was the reason. Him knowing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's teaching the best, the most. Certain things only he knew. Many things that people didn't know until he confirmed it. And he asked those questions in his private time with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He spent the most time. Very good question. Actually, Islamic ilm, but also worldly ilm would count as well, if someone has that, but not above the religious ilm. It's the Sharia knowledge. Remember, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, he was a very, very wise man. He was, leader even in the Jahiliyyah. Although he was young, and yet he was being made to sit among the senior people. When it came to worldly knowledge, he didn't have anything. But when it came to Islam, he built up to the level where he was the most knowledgeable of even dunya matter. Where did you get that from? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You do that when Shaykh Salim Dhurasa, we see he only did up to, I think not even, maybe 6, 7 classes, I don't know. Few classes. Before GCSE, yeah. He didn't even do GCSE. In those days, he didn't need to. And he started his Hifz and then, completed his degree. And you speak to him in worldly matters. Building work, organization, management. You'll be amazed how much wisdom he has and in-depth knowledge he has of those subjects. Allah gave all of that. When you become Allah's true servant with regards to your obedience to him, he opens up your heart and your mind. This is why Mufti Taqi Usmani and Mufti Rafi Usmani sahab, and they are really quite high in their knowledge. They're world leaders in religious knowledge, looked up to. Everyone believe him to be and trust him to be the leader, Mufti Taqi Usmani especially. And he was being the murid of, or the student or disciple of, not the knowledge-wise, but the spiritually, a student of Dr. Abdul Hayy Arifi. He was a homeopathy doctor. But spiritually, he was, very high. He was a student of Maulana Shafi'i Thanwi Sahib rahmatullah, so the best of the students. The father, Mufti Shafi'i Usmani, who is a student of Maulana Shafi'i Thanwi as well, and disciple and a Khalifa, he asked him to go and learn from Dr. Sahib. And Dr. Sahib, so Mufti Taqi Usmani Sahib, even now, whenever he talks about some spiritual matter, he said, our Hazrat, Dr. Abdul Hayy Sahib, he mentioned something that I haven't found in any of the books. Several things he would quote, saying that we didn't read in any books, except that our Hazrat told us this. So he would get that knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah open up your mind. Your heart gets opened up. You could see it clearly. So ilm. So it has to be religious. And Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu was once a bit upset and crying. He felt a bit emotionally. So people came and they said, Ya Khalifa, why are you crying? He said, I'm just remembering the early days. And I was young, and like in the late teens, early 20s. It was our turn, me and my brother, we just go in turn to bring our camels back. So normally you let them graze, and then in the evening, you have to bring them back before it is dark. Look at animals are animals. They can just go wherever, wandering here and there. So whenever it's Zayd's turn, the older brother, he would just go and sort it out without any trouble. When it comes to Umar, he would just go, and every time he wouldn't be able to, take all of them back. 1 or 2 missing. He said, Dad, I tried, and I couldn't get them all back. One ran, this one. So the father would slap him on the face. What would you do in your life, Umar? You are just, good for nothing. I said, my father would say that you can't even control, you can't even manage a herd of camels. This is how weak you are in your management, worldly knowledge of how to train or tackle. This was their lifeline. This is like, bread and butter. This is how they thrive on. The more camels you have, the more, rich you would be. That's how they were. And he's been doing it since young age. But even then, late teens and early 20s, he's still not able to manage them very well. And so he was crying, saying that now with the barakah of Islam, here I am controlling 3 continents without anyone moving. I know exactly what's happening and where. I get all the information for people. People can't move here and there. I can manage that much. So I'm crying that this is nothing to do with me. Oh, Umar, you don't know nothing. This is Allah's favor upon you because you followed the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is how it is. So that ilm is just religious ilm with practice and taqwa. And then you would see the barakah in your life. You can be as clever as you want. That doesn't help. Cleverness, being very, very sharp, doesn't help. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hold it there, you'll be the weakest person. Even while talking, you could be completely like, become fool, making yourself look completely fool in the eyes of, in front of all the students or senior. You can't find even the words to say it properly. And, the minute you think that, oh, I did good. I have seen it. I don't know whether your experience, my experience is that the day I think I'll be okay with leading prayer, Fajr prayer, and it'll be okay. This surah, I know it. Even in Surah Fatiha at times, if I do not think clearly, sometimes it feels that, oh, I can't even recite Surah Fatiha, my goodness. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you help me. You have to have that, dua before you come. The minute you feel confident, straight nosedive. You make silly mistakes here and there. So we are so vulnerable and weak. Hence, the idea is to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say, Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, bi rahmatika astaghith, aslih li sha'ni kullah, wa la takilni ila nafsi tarfat ayn. Do not leave me on my own for even a blink of an eye. This is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What should we be asking? Because the minute you start thinking about your own achievements, my efforts, my skills, in the name of self-esteem, in the name of confidence, they have just corrupted us all. We all become arrogant creation. And that is why we're paying the price. So anyway, Allah says, Allah increased this. Allah has chosen him above you, and he has increased him abundantly in ilm and in jism, physical ability as well. So he should be very strong physically as well. Wallahu yu'ti mulkahu man yasha.
والله يؤتي ملكه من يشاء
Wallahu wasi'un alim.
والله واسع عليم.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives mulkahu, his mulk, his kingdom, man yasha, whoever he wills, whoever he decides. Wallahu, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wasi', is all encompassing, is wasi' in his knowledge, and alimun, knowing. وقال لهم نبيهم
وقال لهم نبيهم
إن آية ملكه
إن آية ملكه
أن يأتيكم التابوت.
أن يأتيكم التابوت.
And it is their, natural, it is their normal behavior, usual behavior to keep asking. And they would not be satisfied with just a statement, even of the Prophet. Show me the evidence. Why? Okay. What is the sign that he is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What do you think? Why he deserves this? So, okay, I know your behavior. You're going to ask me. Okay, let me tell you. So the Prophet said, وَقَالَ لَهُمْ, and said to them, نَبِيُّهُمْ, their Prophet, Inna, indeed, ayata mulkihi, the sign of his kingdom is أَن يَأْتِيَكُمُ التَّابُوت, that he will bring, the tabut will come back to you. The chest, the coffin, the chest full of all the relics from Musa and Dawud would be found in there. So that is a sign which has been taken up by all those enemy kings here and there over the centuries. They would just come and loot everything. They've taken that as well. So then angels lifted it and they brought back when he became the king. See, now you got your coffin back, your chest with all the relics in it. فيه سكينة من ربكم
فيه سكينة من ربكم
وبقية مما ترك آل موسى وآل هارون
وبقية مما ترك آل موسى وآل هارون
تحمله الملائكة.
تحمله الملائكة.
In that chest, فيه, in it is sakina. In it is the comfort, the tranquility. You find it, very comforting. Min rabbikum, from your Lord. وبقية, and the relics and the remnants and things left behind by mimma tarak, from what was left behind Musa, Alu Harun. Whatever they left behind. تحمله الملائكة, angels will be carrying it. The angels will be carrying it. So this is a sign that he is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now you accept it? إن في ذلك لآية لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين.
إن في ذلك لآية لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين.
Indeed. في ذلك, in it, لآية, there are the sign. This lam, whenever it comes, is lam muzahalaqa, it suggests emphasis. There is surely an ayah and a sign for you. Ayah means the verse, but also means a sign. So there's ayah, lakum, for you, in kuntum, if you were, and if you are, mu'mineen, if you are believer. If you're truly believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then there is sign in it. I mean, that should make you accept it and follow it. But when the mind is corrupted, even those signs are there. I mean, maybe just, by chance. Why do we think that it is miracle? It was supposed to be at this point. It just happened. فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود.
فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود.
طالوت بالجنود.
طالوت بالجنود.
قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر.
قال إن الله مبتليكم بنهر.
مبتليكم بنهر.
مبتليكم بنهر.
فلما, so when فصل طالوت, when Talut alayhi salam went as a king, now he's appointed as a king. Fast forwarding, they wanted to go on qital to fight these, oppressors. Off you go. So when they set out, I didn't do on this one. So that was left. I didn't check it actually. It's been a quite long time, but let's find out. So فَلَمَّا فَصَلَ, فَصَلَ means when you go out. Fasal literally means to detach. Fasal, a gap. Yeah. So when he set out, meaning you were sitting in the house and you just left out. So when they went forth, Bil Junud, when he came out with his army, with his soldiers, Qala, he said, indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mubtalikum. Ibtila means to trial. Mubtali is the person who is trialing, the one that is trialing you. Mubtala is the person who is being trialed. We use that in Urdu as well, mubtala. He is mubtala in certain thing. वो इसमें बीमारी में mubtala है. Mubtala. So that's a maf'ul form. Passive, passive form, but majhul we call it passive voice. Meaning someone who's been acted upon with that action of bala. Bala means trial. Bala Urdu में जिसको कहते हैं वो ऐसा वो नहीं. Bala के literally मायने Arabic word, it's mean trial, a test. So mubtali, Allah is going to be your mubtali. Allah is going to test you. The Prophet said. With what? He's going to test you with nahar. Nahar is a river. You'll be tested with a river. فَمَنْ شَرِبَ مِنْهُ فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي.
فَمَنْ شَرِبَ مِنْهُ فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي.
So what that means that the trial is this. We walk past this and we're thirsty. We find a river, but you're not supposed to take water from it. That's your trial. You feel thirsty, you see the water, don't drink. Stay thirsty. Then Allah would help you. So faman, whoever, shariba, drank, minhu, from it, falaysa minni, so he's not from me. If you drank full, you're out. You can't follow me. That's like, you've already proven that you cannot do that. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَطْعَمْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي.
ومن لم يدعمه فإنه مني.
إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده.
إلا من اغترف غرفة بيده.
ومن لم, and who, what, and man, whoever, lam yat'amhu, did not eat. Well, ta'ima yat'amu means to eat, but you could see that could be used for drink as well. So in some languages, some people say, so in Bangla, you say for food to eat, for drink to eat as well. Chai khao. Hamare mohalle mein rehte the, chai pak gaya kha lo. So they used to say that. Even in Urdu, we translate it like that. You use khana for drink as well, isn't it? Yeah, so and that's fine. Quran says so as well. So the Prophet said, whoever did not partake of it, فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي, then he is with me. So if you didn't taste it, didn't eat from it, then you are from me. Except for the one that person, اغترف, to take just a handful. غرفة, this is a ghurfa. Ghurfa is when you put two hands like this. Ghurfa is bedroom as well. Not talking about that ghurfa. This is another meaning for ghurfa. Ghurfa is the second meaning of that. Ghurfa, chullu. Chullu. You put your hand and then that's enough. If you take this much, that is okay, but nothing more than that. Biyadihi, ghurfa, with his hand. He just taking a ghurfa, a little, few drops. فشربوا منه إلا قليلا منهم.
إلا قليلا منهم.
It's unfinished work. I was not supposed to be doing this one, but I'm just doing it. So فشربوا, so they drank minhu, from it, إلا, except for قليلا, only few from them. Majority drank to their fill. So can't be bothered. Water now, we've been thirsty for long hours, been walking we're stressed out, we're sweaty, we need to take shower, we have food. Man. Get out. Oh, na'udhu Prophet. Off we go. Disobeyed completely. So you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something. Oh, Allah give us a king and we follow him. This is what happened. You do not follow the king who you asked to appoint.
Was the ask from the Prophet or?
No, that was the king. طالوت فلما فصل طالوت بالجنود. Sorry, did I say Nabi? No, it wasn't Nabi. It was from now on, it's Talut leading them and asking them to do all those things.
So the king lead the people who was supposed
So the Prophet is a spiritual guide at that point. They wanted to get a military men to support them. Since they asked for it, okay, from amongst you, Allah made it into a trial. When you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something, that will always be trialed. Remember that's a point which inshallah ta'ala finish on. Don't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something that you cannot manage. Ask the thing that would benefit you. Don't say, I want to be whatever. I want to do this or that, and big claims and big things. Because you will be tested with that. Remember, whatever you ask for, Allah will test you with that. If you don't ask, less questioning, less trials. The higher you try to go up, okay, more trial. Keep going up. So it is very, very difficult situation when people ask for all the favors. This is why Maulana Shafii Thanvi or all the spiritual masters would say the same thing. Be the people of tafweed, not tajweez. Don't be the people of tajweez. Be the people of tafweed. Tafweed is when you resign matter to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, what is good for me, give it to me. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, help me with whatever good. I am in need of such and such a thing, but give me if it is good for me. And do not trial me with that. Only do it if it's like going to benefit. But you ask big thing or whatever thing you ask, and then you would see. There are people who I know, they were so desperately asking for children, and they got one son, and it happened to be very sick. And it's just been like completely always going to hospital. A small baby from that age to 3-4 years. And finally he died. So you ask for something, there you go. You tried even worse. Not saying that don't ask. Ask, but with the caveat, with the condition, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if this is good for me. Don't tell Allah what to do. You can do that, and sometimes it will happen. But that would be a trial. You may pass, you might not. Many times you would, because the trial is not going to be easy. All those situations would give you tough time. There was a person who I know was so keen, literally every day in tahajjud, spending time, hours literally, and making dua, keep asking, keep crying for this particular individual they want to get married to. And everyone was thinking, yes, it should be, may Allah make it, and that happened. A year later, I wish we never married together. All the infatuation is gone. There's nothing there. Why did I marry this man? There were better options. So, why would you do that? in the first sense. No, but I wanted Allah to do it in such a way that He's good for me as well. But you know, you actually want it because you have that deep love. That was the goal, but you expected other to be loving you the same way. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. If you love someone 100%, they may love you only 50% or 30%. In fact, none. So what? That's the worst thing to be in. You're trying to beg someone to give you the love that you want them to give you. And they said, okay, there you go. And don't see me again for next whole month. What is this? Why dying for Layla when Layla is completely oblivious to your state? May Allah give us tawfiq. I'm not saying that don't make dua. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but be gentle. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I want to keep it to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's level because he was simple. He was like, he didn't ask too much for dunya. Our problem is we ask for dunya. But when you ask Allah, make it good as for, if you're desperately in need of that and you really want that. But I've seen so many people struggling with that. Very hard to find someone who asked for some certain thing and they got it and they're happy. They find 24s in that. They say we were better off without this. So, Allah give us something, inshallah. Okay, inshallah, we'll leave it there. Assalamu alaikum.